Hey, you guys. So I'm super excited to do this with you. This is my second deep dive into what's coming up for us in a mundane level. And I'm looking at the Amavasya coming up on March 18th. And that is the new moon energy in Vedic. So it's interesting, this new moon, because it is happening a couple days already before the equinox. And remember that the spring equinox is the end of Pisces, the sign of Pisces, and we're back into Aries, the beginning of the year. So it's the Vedic New Year. And during this final new moon of Pisces on into the equinox. And this new moon is happening in the nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapada. And that is my lagna, my rising sign. So I think I can say a bit about that. But this nakshatra is definitely one of the nakshatras that is tied to moksha, to the end of things, to purification. It's the pre-last nakshatra to Revati. Revati is the last one, which is shepherding out of a dimension or an experience. And Uttara Bhadrapada is the silencing before that, the deep, the purification, the burning away of the past, the letting go of karma and attachments, old troubles, burning it all away so God remains. So there's a real opportunity that is in this Amavasya, but we have to look at the rest of it to see if it's going to be taken, this opportunity, or not. So we're still with this Mars Rahu thing here, this insanity conjunction. And Jupiter is looking directly at Rahu, Mars, and Mercury retrograde, by the way, is still in there as well. This whole thing is interesting because Mercury is going to turn on the 20th. It's going to go direct again on the 20th, which will open up for peaceful compromise and negotiations. But in all honesty, you guys, I'm not seeing this in the chart. There's too much happening, and several planets are combust or almost combust. Mercury is definitely going to go combust when it goes direct again. So let's dive in. So what we're seeing here is the chart of the moment, and I made it for Washington City, District of Columbia, or Washington, D.C., because I feel like this has the strongest impact on everybody else and all our other, on all the other realms. The Lagna, or the ascendant, is in a Libra. And the thing with this Libra is that it is pretty weak. It's right in the beginning, early Libra, right on the cusp. So I can see on the right here, we can see the exactly Lagna. So it says here 0 degrees Libra. So that Libra is still pretty young, and it's pretty unbalanced. It's unstable, it's reactive, it's seeking balance, or starting to want to seek balance, let's put it that way. And it's somewhat unstable and reactive to the entire chart. So there's the Amavasya, or the new moon, is in Uttara Bhadrapada. Okay, and that's in the sign of Pisces. And this Uttara Bhadrapada is interesting because it is actually something that doesn't move. It's a sthira, or a fixed nakshatra. And so things don't change with this one, not too much. It just condenses, crystallizes. It does discard, but the discarding is a releasing to reveal. Don't know how else to put that. It's the image of Uttara Bhadrapada is the snake all the way at the bottom of the ocean, and it's actually Shiva who is sitting there in meditation. And so this is when Shiva meditates, almost nothing can get him out of meditation and out of the deep silence that he moves in. And Uttara Bhadrapada is that it's the snake that holds up the world. It's a Raj Naga, so it's not one of the smaller Nagas in that sense. It's not a Rakshasa, it's not a demon. It's a snake that has committed its entire existence to the divine, to uphold divine law, divine right, the entire world. So we already see the global theme with Uttara Bhadrapada through that. Then the Tithi is, is almost exact. Well, it is exact at 6.89% left. But, and Amavasya, or the new moon, is kind of inauspicious for new beginnings when we're looking at Muhurta, when we're looking at a specific time. And what's interesting is that the Amavasya is actually ascribed to ancestors, the deities. This is a time of dissolution. It's the new moon, right? So there is no moon. And it's a dissolving. And remember, the moon represents the mind. So it's a dissolution of the mind. It's a dissolution of what is thought. It's a time where you absolutely let go. And the ancestors, it's a great time to be worshiping the ancestors, focusing on what was done in the past and releasing what doesn't need to be carried forward. So it's a time where intentions that are set now can carry concealed or unresolved energy, and the light of discernment is not there. So let's have a look. Before I dive into the yogas, we've got the I'll mention two yogas, okay? And the two yogas I'll just blend in here. There's the Kahala yoga, and Kahala requires the fourth lord, so the lord in a Kendra, Trikona, and strength, and the Lagna lord strong. The Lagna lord has to be strong. So the Lagna lord here is Venus, and Venus is in Pisces in the 6th. It's exalted in Pisces, but that exaltation is diminished because it's in a Dostana house, so a negative house, the 6th house, and there it's conjunct the sun, which is its enemy, and Jupiter is in Gemini in the 9th. So there's that expansive Dharma house, Jupiter, aspecting the ascendant. So the fourth lord in Saturn and Pisces is conjunct Sun and Moon. And so there's organization. And now Saturn is enemies with just about everybody in there except for Venus. So there's organizational mass energy here. It's a commander type configuration. And it literally says that this is a commander of a large army, right? We see that here. So Venus in the 6th dilutes the purity of Kahala somewhat, and the feel of it is there, mobilized, consolidated power, but there's a flaw in the base because Venus is debilitated in the 6th house, even though it looks elevated because it's in Pisces. Then there's the Raj Yoga, and the Raj Yoga is significant because we have the Atma Karaka and the Atmiya Karaka, and Amatya Karaka, sorry. And the sun is the Atma Karaka, Jupiter is the Amatya Karaka, and they are not conjunct. Sun is in Pisces, 5th house, Jupiter is in Gemini, 9th house, but they're in a trine relationship, right? So it's 3 houses over, which absolutely qualifies as a Raj Yoga in the Jaimini framework. So the 5th and the 9th contact between Atma Karaka and Amatya Karaka is pretty clean here. So this is an empowered executive with strong support structures. Now Saturn is with enemies in Pisces, the sun and the moon, and in the 6th house in a Dostana. So here we have ego and authority, the sun, clashing with discipline and restriction. Moon is with the Saturn in the 6th. There's emotionally grinding. There's this sense of embattled persistence and not peace. And the 6th is the house of enemies. Remember, conflict, litigation, military disease. You've got Venus in there too. And Venus offers a little bit of softening, but it's buried in that house with all the conflict alongside Saturn, because Saturn is just, So it feels like this is, Venus is like set up inside an armory. So here we have this soft, delicate energy of Venus, but we have all this military might and masculine power around her. And the intent might be peace, but the entire environment is just overwhelming. Now, the moon is in Uttara Bhadrapada, so it does carry a quality of deep wisdom or longing for universal peace and compassion. But there's also this quality of withdrawing, right, into emotional depth. So not really showing on the surface. It's very poker-faced. What's going on within? And the moon here is at near zero illumination. So the emotional intelligence is functioning in the dark. Decisions made under this moon lack clarity, even when the intention is sincere. And Uttara Bhadrapada's shadow side is paralysis, knowing what's right, but being able to not being able to act on it cleanly. Then, so that's just this house over here, right? That's what we're talking about just now. Sorry, I was like 2 in the chart and not really focusing. But so you can see Venus, Sun, Saturn, Moon there, all jostling about. And remember that they're not all friends. Like Venus and Saturn are friends. And but Saturn's pretty fed up with the Sun. It's pretty fed up with the Moon. The Sun and Venus they're fed up with each other. And Venus is not yet combust. Venus is at 21 degrees Pisces. It would have to be under 17 degrees, I believe. I think it's 17 for Venus. For it to be combust, it's not yet combust. But the moon, well, yeah, and that's what a new moon is. And Mercury is about to go combust once it goes direct, because Mercury is going direct on the 20th. And when it goes direct, it's going to start moving away from this berserker warrior energy over here with Rahu Mars, like just going nutters insane, and being in the 5th house in the sign of Aquarius. So a big, huge thing about this conflict in the Middle East again is technology, the desire to use technology, to develop technology, to test technology, because the 11th house, you can see the 11. Let me just remove that. These circles here. You can see the 11 right here. That's Aquarius. And so Aquarius is representative of tech. We've got Rahu in Shatabisha. Okay. We've got Mars in Shatabisha. That's the sign of the 100 healers, the 100 eyes, so on and so forth. We've got Mercury, retrograde Mercury, also in Shatabisha, but it's about to move out of that. And when Mercury goes direct again and it leaves this insane berserker constellation, which right now it's kind of fueling with confusion, it's going to move closer again to Venus and to this Sun-Saturn constellation here. So there will be communication coming up around a possible peace, but we're not there yet. It feels like the communication that is coming up as a result of this new moon, because it will happen, it's not there yet. So Rahu, Mars, Mercury, and Aquarius right now, it's amplifying war. Okay, it's amplified aggression, desire to break rules of engagement. Mercury retrograde with Rahu Mars, the communications are deceptive, delayed, weaponized. Negotiations in this chart are not clean. Mercury retrograde in the 5th with Rahu suggests hidden agendas in the messaging. 5th house is also intelligence, strategy, special operations. So the stellium is clear. There's an appetite for unconventional warfare. There's an appetite for technology, tech-driven aggression. And with Rahu Mars there, because remember, Rahu is greedy. This is never going to be satisfied ever. That's not his thing, because he's just a head floating through. And no stomach, just an open mouth. He consumes the moon, But Rahu here is insatiably greedy, and they literally, with Mars, he's also an amplifier. So wherever Rahu is, he amplifies everything. So Mars in Aquarius is all about unconventional tech-driven warfare or conflict or moving things ahead, put it that way. And Rahu just amplifies that to the max. Mercury retrograde adds to the confusion, and there we are, right? So there's this desire in the fifth house of desire. Fifth house is desires, children, progeny, offspring, creativity, all of that. And in the fifth house, there's this desire to, let me just say it as it is, bleed it out. They want to bleed this out. And driven by this desire to implement novel tech and see what happens. Sad but true. It makes me feel like saying something stupid like boys with their toys, but it really is stupid because there are lives that are connected to this, right? There are lives. So we've got Jupiter and Gemini in the 9th house. And so Jupiter in this sign in the 9th is pretty strong. It's, remember the 9th is representative of Dharma, ideology, international reach, travel, divine energy, mandate energy. This is very much a spiritual belief war. It is definitely driven by who is righteous in front of God. We are protected by law, God, history, placement, so on and so forth. So it also aspects the 1st, 3rd, and 5th houses, right? So 1st, 3rd, and 5th. And supporting the Lagna. So identity is in the 1st, and the 3rd is communication, and the 5th would be intelligence, strategy. So it feels like, there's a self-justifying expansiveness here, a wanting to dominate. This is Jupiter in the kind of, I'm picking up a more negative side. Like we're always seeing Jupiter as being positive and benefic and expansive. But remember, Jupiter expands everything it touches, So that can also be the negativity. So again, we have this blowing up here. We have this domination vibe, this need to dominate, this need to be right. Now, mind you, I don't see this situation going much longer than June. And I've said that in my live on my other channel. And why? Because it's intuitively given to me, number one. Number two, they'll probably run out of toys and then they have to rebuild them and then start up again next year. And we'll think, oh, yay, we found peace. But we didn't. They just need to rebuild. So it's, I don't feel it's going to be longer than June, but we'll see. But there's definitely this belief that is driving a lot of it. Now we've got Ketu in Leo in the 11th house up here. And Ketu in Leo in the 11th is interesting because this is a severing of networks, alliances, gains from distant associations. So there might be a cutoff that happens. Someone is going to cut something off or cut someone from something, or like a country, or something is going to be cut off here. And so Leo is the sign of allies, noble associations, royalty. And Ketu cuts and dissolves them in a karmic way. It could also be that someone, gets cut off from power. Yeah. So that someone is, I don't want to say taken out, but somehow gets replaced or cut off from power. And it could also indicate that this has already happened, and so the ramifications of that are still playing out, but we'll see. But this can be a severing. Ketu severs. So this shows an isolation from meaningful coming together in any which way, shape, or form. And whatever alliances are hoped for or thought about, they don't materialize. They don't come together. So this chart has, from what I can read on my limited thing here, has the architecture of power and self-confidence, a lot of hoopla and bravado, but it's all about conflict escalation rather than resolution. And the 6th house stellium, the 5th house stellium, Ketu here in the 11th, cutting off, ties and connections. Poof. It looks like there may be an event that is framed as diplomacy or negotiation, but it's actually meant to inflame and incite further. Okay. So I feel like, yeah, you know. So with the moon being combust, because it is the new moon, like the public mood, the people, it's all extinguished, right? So decisions are being made in the dark that the public doesn't even know about. Saturn is combust as well. I forgot to mention that. Saturn is very close to the sun and is going to be completely combust. And remember, Saturn is a brake pedal, right? It slows things down. But this Saturn is completely burned out, is totally burned out. So the brake pedal is gone. Okay. The pads have been burned through. And so Saturn should be slowing things down. And now Saturn is part of throwing the weight behind driving this whole thing forward. So Venus is the only one that kind of escapes combustion. But so there is a peace impulse there, but not strong enough. Not strong enough. And so Saturn is going all out with a battle with the sun's ego, right? We can kind of look at it like that. Now the thing is, again, when Mercury moves from the 20th onwards back towards this stellium, we're going to see things change again, okay? And it will start looking more hopeful. It will start looking more doable. It will start looking more like, oh yeah, things can come together, can happen, but it's still not ready. It's still not ripe, okay? Because Mercury is going to go combust too when it gets close to the sun. So the messenger, right? This hope, this message of peace gets burnt again, but just in a different way. In a different way. So I feel like this is moving towards general confusion, genuine confusion, or things are going to become even more. Jupiter is going to take up more space and weight, because that's the one that's giving clarity in a sense, right? Because this here is total chaos. The sixth house, this Dustana. And so the planets that usually give clarity, Sun, Saturn, and Mercury coming back in there, they're all going to be almost squabbling with each other. And so the only one that is sitting clean and clear is Jupiter in the ninth, and driving up religious speeches, religious talks, faith talks, belief talks, things of that nature, right? So it's but there's no substance, because all the substance is quarreling, okay? So it's still going to be a while, you guys. Still going to be a while. And like I said, I personally get the impression in June. I haven't checked the chart yet, so I don't know. Okay. I haven't checked the chart yet, so I don't know. But by June, this first wave should be over. And the impression, like the intuition that I have, is these countries, like I said in my video on the live, are just not ready yet. But by the end of the summer or even next year, they'll be ready, because the timeline was 2030, but I'm feeling like they're rushing it. I'm feeling like this pushing it, rushing it, wanting to get things done quickly and over with, even though they know better. And yeah, what can I say? It is what it is. All right, so let's have a look at some cards and see what's coming up for you with this new moon. And I'm just going to be pulling one card each. So if you want to choose a number from 1, 2, or 3, and then we'll see which card applies to you. So all of this reading, you can also, of course, utilize it for your own Oh, and the next thing is the dashas. I wasn't finished. Oopsies. So here you see the dashas, and it's Saturn, Saturn, Saturn. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it's all iron and harshness. There's not much to say. Like discipline, iron, hardness, rigidity, hardened hearts. This reminds me this energy of this the times when Pharaoh wouldn't let the in the Bible, when Pharaoh wouldn't let the Hebrews go out of Egypt because God had hardened his heart, and the whole thing was supposed to play out to show his glory. And there's some kind of an energy around that again here, right? So the hearts have been artificially hardened, but also there's a very harsh discipline time that is coming up. And for the US, and by extension, they're going to, of course, do what they always do. But yeah, so it's a time where they're going to have to sit tight and endure. Saturn is all about endurance, and it's about what you built up before, because whatever you built up before, that's what's going to amass or solidify almost when you move into it. So these can be good things, right? So good things will come out of what has been built before, but there are also some not so good things that are coming out of what has been up. And there's no way around it. The US will have to deal with that. It is somewhat of a karmic reckoning. Okay, so let's have a look here. And these are your cards, 1, 2, or 3. And you can also choose all 3 if you want, just for different aspects of your life, and see what comes up. So 1, 2, and 3. If you chose card number 1, you got the Death card. This has to do with changes, and this is absolutely accurate for this new moon. And we can see here how all these old cycles are being trampled under, are being taken down. And this is exactly what we're watching and what we're seeing happening. Now, in the distance, we can see the sun. There is a new day rising. A new dawn is rising beyond the towers of the moon. And beyond fear, there is something else. But we still have to go through this recycling process here. And this is what's coming up for you the most. There's something in your life that needs to be recycled. There's something in your life that needs to be released. There's something in your life that you should have let go a long time ago, but you are still holding on to. And you haven't moved yet past those towers of fear and anxiety of the moon in the background there. And that's still coming, where you will move through that and realize that there was absolutely nothing to fear. Those were just shadows that your own mind were casting, and they mean nothing. They are nothing. They mean nothing. Those of you that chose pile number 2 or card number 2, we've got the Page of Swords. And the Page of Swords here has to do with information, right? So there's some kind of you need more information for whatever it is that you're trying to do or you want to do. The answer seems to be that first gather all your facts, okay? Get everything together in your basket and then make your move. Right now, you're still in the information gathering phase. And there may be someone around you who's also very investigative or instigating. And it could be that they're very sharp and focused, and they don't mean to be, but they simply are. Okay. And so you have to figure out how to deal with that, because I feel like because it's a page, they're dealing with it in a very immature way. And you can see how they're wielding their sword and shaking it around and wanting to kind of show off what they got and show what they have. But it's not for you to take that sword away from them. They have to learn how to wield it, how to work with it, how to deal with it. And so, yeah, okay. Those of you that chose card, but you need to get more information. You need to definitely collect more information before you move forward with something that you want to move forward with. Now, those of you that chose pile number 3, you've got the 6 of Coins, and this has to do with wishes being granted, a boon being given, prayers being answered. Something is going to come through for you in a very easy way. and you won't have to work for it, and you won't have to beg for it. And ask and it shall be given to you, and the way will open up for you. There's an ease that's coming through. And this is also a balancing of karma, because you seem to be a person who has given a lot, who's given way much in the past. And now finally this new moon is bringing that energy back to you, where what you desire will be gifted or given to you. Okay? Alrighty, so I hope that brings you joy, and I will see you on the next one. I will let you go on this, and thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.